participating via our website and live streaming. So very open and welcome everybody to the annual general meeting of the Balloon Institute Limited, and it's wonderful to see so many people come along. It's been a big year. So if I could first of all start by mentioning that besides people in attendance, we also have quite a number of proxies, 15 proxies, in addition to people attending. So we have more than the required quorum for our AGM. So I do have an apology from our patron, Major General Michael Jeffrey. However, Michael has sent us a note that I'll read to you in a moment. But in opening, welcome you all. The first thing I should do is ask for a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes from our AGM last year, which occurred on the 24th of November 2017. Charles moved. Seconder, who was in attendance, somebody that was in attendance of that. Michael, you were. So, second, so all those in favour. So before my report, which is the next matter for the AGM, I will just read you the brief statement from our patron, Major General Michael Jeffrey. And he says, I apologise for my unavoidable absence from the Institute's AGM. But I've been in close contact with Gary Nairn over the last 12 months, and in particular in respect to the recent visit to Balloon by the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister Littleproud. I congratulate all involved with that briefing and the recent outstanding successful Australian story on Balloon and its activities. The drought, although tragic in itself, has been a catalyst for focusing the minds of farmers, agricultural institutions, political leaders and the public on regenerative agriculture as the only way to better prepare our farmers to successfully adjust to drought. I was able to personally reinforce the admiration I have long had for Tony Coote and the Balloon Institute with the Prime Minister, Premiers, National Farmers Federation and other senior attendees at the Prime Minister's Drought Summit. I made a number of points at that summit, including the critical need for Australian agriculture to become regenerative in practice, for a national objective to restore and maintain the health of the Australian agricultural landscape by integrating the management of our plants, water and soils assets, to better support our farmers when adopting regenerative processes, to establish a garden in every primary and junior high school in the country working to a nationally agreed syllabus, and to better orchestrate agricultural research effort, including extension service delivery and career planning for young agricultural science graduates. These points are well received by some attendees, including the Prime Minister. Earlier, Marlena and I attended the opening of the Scots College Agricultural Wing, where I gave the keynote address in honour of Tony Coote, an old boy of the school. I made substantial reference to his Balloon Creek project. Barry and Rose Nairn were also present. I'm pleased to note that discussions are now underway to see whether the Balloon Creek catchment and or the farm could join the Soils for Life case study program. Having a successful catchment area as a regenerative farming landscape exemplar would be a very good thing for both organisations and for the country. In summary, well done to all involved in the Balloon Institute under the dynamic leadership of Gary. And I look forward to being an active patron in 2019. So that's very well received. I think the message from Michael Jeffrey, and we have a good relationship between our organisation and Soils for Life who chairs, and also being the government's soil advocate. It's an important connection. So my report, it's not that long, so I think I might work through it, and I will distribute some copies to everybody. But you're all here, okay? Everybody's sitting behind me here, but I suppose it looks just for those people that are online. So the report of activities during the past year to the many stakeholders in the Malone Institute can only really commence this year, I think, with the reference to a great man, an incredible visionary, Anthony Edmund Rundle Keith, or best known as we all knew him. Tony, together with his wife Tony, were our founders. The Malone Institute would not exist without them, without their commitment to the environment, farming, and to society. Tony's passing in August this year has taken the Malone Institute to yet another level as he bequeathed Malone Creek National Farms to us to ensure the incredible work he started can continue forever. Amazing legacy and generous gift to the nation. Tributes flowed from around Australia and the world, and many hundreds of people participated in the celebrations of Tony's life at the Royal Sydney Golf Club and in the barn at Home Farm on Malone Creek National Farms. And fittingly, Tony's contribution to landscape rehydration and regenerative agriculture was the subject of an ABC Australian story broadcast at the end of October. One of those providing a tribute to Tony at the celebrations with our patron and Source for Life chairman, Major General Michael Jeffrey, that we just heard from. In praising the work and legacy left by Tony, he gave a commitment that together the Malone Institute and Source for Life would continue his, and I quote, plan to convert Australian agriculture to regenerative practices and the formal education of our school children on how to look after our soil, water and plants will be pursued with unrelenting vigour until the battle is won, because the consequences of losing simply do not bear thinking about. Unquote. We're privileged to have General Jeffrey as our patron, and we'll be working with Source for Life with such common goals. Throughout the past 12 months, I've attempted to keep you up to date with our activities via my monthly updates. From demonstration December and jobs January through peaking February and more recently opportune October, I set out many of the achievements of the Malone Institute. Our subsidiary, Malone Consulting Contracting and Certifying, AGM, and now our responsibility for Malone Creek National Farms. I refer you all to those monthly updates, but take this opportunity to highlight some of the key achievements and happenings. Huge steps have been made with our whole of catchment project, the Malone Community Landscape Rehydration Project, since last year. A number of applications have been approved, on-ground works completed on Malone Farm and Malone South, and Westview underway as I write. Peter Hazel and Pam Wilson have done an outstanding job in designing the works and preparing the applications to achieve New South Wales government approval. And Peter and his team have very efficiently got on with the on-ground and in-stream works. In fact, that's where he is today. Completing this total project is our top priority, as it will then become a signature demonstration project of landscape repair and rehydration. Our pilot project along 3 kilometres of the creek has always received widespread interest and support, but a total catchment takes this work to the next level. Luke Peel and his team, under the guidance of our Science Advisory Council, are a critical element of this project, as they've gathered extensive benchmark data and now continue to acquire ongoing data as the works progress. We had a very successful year of training through our relationship with Stuart Andrews and Dwayne Norris at Talent Park Training. A number of 4-day workshops were completed, with participants coming from almost every state and territory. We're receiving an enhanced level of interest, so we'll be increasing the workshops in 2019. We completed one of the workshops only yesterday. Fundamental to the workshops has been the development of our how-to guide, formerly called Landscape Rehydration Theory and Practice. Peter Hazel and Cam Wilson, along with the rest of our team, have done an outstanding job in the preparation of this substantial document. Each participant of our workshops takes away a copy, but we're giving consideration as to how we utilise this important asset in the future for the investment in the intellectual property of it. At the very least, it forms a basis for broader curriculum in training, for training in landscape rehydration and regenerative agriculture, which is increasing in demand. Activity for the Marine Institute stepped up several years in late October and early November, firstly following a much-awaited visit by the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison. He not only came to see what we're doing, but he also brought along the Deputy Prime Minister, Michael McCormack, the Agriculture and Water Resources Minister, David Littleproud, and New South Wales Senator Jim Molan. The visit was well covered by the media and strategically came the day prior to the Prime Minister's Drought Summit. The visit was then closely followed by the Australian Story episode mentioned at the start of my report. The three events certainly raised the importance of drought resilience in the broader public and, importantly, the profile and the work of the Marine Institute. There's no doubt the government ministers were impressed with what we've achieved and resolved to see our work extended across the country. We're able to provide the Prime Minister with a framework and indicative costings to commence such work, so it now requires positive action on their behalf. The feedback on the Australian Story has been very positive, with support and inquiries coming in large numbers from all over Australia. The team has been very busy responding to inquiries between the Marine Institute and NCCC. There's much to do in the coming weeks and months. I feel very much that the events of the end of October will be seen as a major turning point in engaging the broader community and governments in the importance of the work we've been advocating. Speaking of NCCC, our General Manager, Carolyn Hall, she has a report, and I'll ask her to say a few words about that shortly, on its activities. So it's now 1 year young. So I won't go through the detail here. I'll leave it for Carolyn, but suffice to say what a great job she's done with a number of projects completed, many in progress, and a long list ahead. The connection in North Queensland through the North Queensland Dried Tropics RM has been incredibly successful. Cam Wilson conducting 3 workshops in that region and a large delegation from there visiting us recently. Our work is vital for addressing sediment flows in the Great Barrier Reef. We look ahead to more work there prior to the wet season starting soon, and with a flow of projects into 2019. During 2018, we have continued our relationship with Rock and Set Research in the UK through John Crawford. And Rose and I were pleased to visit there in June while we were in the UK on other business. We were able to meet with Australia's High Commissioner to the UK, George Brandis, to discuss Australia and UK collaboration post-Brexit. We believe there's a great opportunity for collaborative research, which we're exploring. So in conclusion, for my report, I want to thank the wonderful staff, Carolyn, Peter Hazel, Luke Peel, Cam Wilson, Kelly Thorburn, Jen Southall, and recently commenced graduate Paul McAllister. Peter and Kelly have also had the recent assistance of James Dyke and Max Brunswick with respect to workshop organisation, volunteers and in-stream work. Also a big thank you to our many volunteer advisors. Too many to list, but the cross-section of information and advice we receive is invaluable. I will highlight Professor Steve Dover's guidance of our Science Advisory Council and the strategic advice provided by Peter Howard, which I value personally very, very highly. The Wind Creek Natural Farms Manager Michael Fitzgerald has been a wonderful colleague to both the Institute and NCCC, and along with his team and people like Scott Littlebrook, assist us immensely with our work. Our success is their success and vice versa, and also in the future. Finally, to my board colleagues, with the additional responsibility of MCNF, the board's role has expanded, and without each of their expertise and input, the job would not get done. So Charles, Jim, Diana, and Richard, your support has been unbending and consistent and crucial to our work. We welcomed Diana to the board recently with her replacing Tony, our founder, and I think having that continuity of the Coote family is a vital part of our future. Also thank our co-founder, Tony, TJ, for her continued support and of our work, and the confidence she placed in me and the other directors to take Tony's wonderful legacy forward and grow it into the future. She unfortunately wasn't able to be with us today, but I know she knows that having the AGM, and I'm sure she's sending the best wishes as we are back to her. Can I also add, we've got various partners that have helped us in the Institute, but none more so than Bedford CA, and Charles as a director. But I also want to target that bloke sitting next to him, Raymond over there, who just does such a great job for us. But Institute and Triple C and the farms, and thank you for hosting us here today, particularly Charles and the firm, and Raymond. Thanks for the great work that you do. Now, I want to ask Carolyn, and in inviting Carolyn to say a few words about NCCC, what I mentioned, remind people, this was, NCCC was something that really Tony had a vision to develop and establish back in 2007, when we were starting to get inquiries from people after attending workshops and things. Well, how do I go about doing this on my property, and etc. And NCCC was really established to meet that need, and it's been proven in the short time it's been in existence, just 12 months, in the last week or so, how important and how successful that is. So, I'd like to say a few words on NCCC's work.
And thank you for the opportunity to address the AGM about all things NCCC. It certainly has been a big, and Gary's sort of ended with thank yous, and I guess that's the way that I must start. We're a small committed team that are spread fairly thinly, I guess, and all across the ground, because the guys are also committed to the Institute and to the farm. And I really want to thank Gary and the rest of the board for their ongoing support. That's been a huge contribution to support and advice on our startup phase. Thanks also must go to Ken Wilson, to Peter Hazel and Luke Hill, and to Kelly Colburn, and also to Michael, and Fitzgerald, and to Rachel. All support and advice has really made our startup possible and contributed to our early success. Our main project this year has been the whole fund plan for Bannockburn. That's the Scots College property down on the south coast. And we're working with them to create a plan that looks at improving landscape function on the property. It's a fairly unique and unusual project though, because it's not just about landscape function and regenerative agriculture. It's about putting that together with experiential education for the students at the college, and that combination in that setting has been a really special experience, and I think has served to strengthen the relationship between the Institute and the Scots College, and I think Tony would be really, really pleased with that, as we all are. Other things we've done, a lot of just site assessments, in and out site assessments on the Southern Tablelands, which have been great practice for us. But also Peter Hazel delivered a presentation at the Life of Mine conference in July up in Brisbane, and that was an unusual setting for us, but I think a valuable opportunity to network with people at the cutting edge of mine site rehabilitation, and an opportunity to tell them about our work and the success of the MCIP, and that we're slowly but surely, I think, going to realise some gains in that area over time. Then at the same time, we sort of took off in North Queensland. So as Gary mentioned, Ken Wilson was up there and delivered 3 workshops, and on the heels of that we had delivered 16 come to Melon Creek. We took them also to some, what are now award-winning regenerative agricultural operations on the Southern Tablelands. And then we brought them to the farms, and they met Michael and toured Melon Creek, and they also had some technical workshops with us. That tour exceeded the group's expectations. They had a great time. They absolutely loved it, and they've gone home to North Queensland full of enthusiasm. And the word is spreading up there. We've got another workshop in Northampton in May next year for the Fitzroy Basin Association. So our efforts in Queensland are well founded, and we're currently finalising the proposal for the delivery of detailed design and concept plans for 11 properties in and around Townsville. So that's a great extension of our work in North Queensland, and we're very excited about that. We've also in the process of completing a couple of projects with detailed design in Queanbeyan and Canberra, and we're going through the process of getting those projects approved. So jumping through the regulatory hoops as well, which is an important part of what we do and what we have clients with. And so that those projects are coming along really well. And we've also been commissioned to prepare farm plans for Durella and the home farm. And we're very excited about that, the opportunity to work together with our colleagues and prepare those plans to guide the farms into the future. I think that's going to be a really exciting process. All of this with a part-time workforce has been a bit of a challenge. So we're very much looking forward to Cam Wilson coming on board full-time next year. And we also welcome, as Gary mentioned, Bill McAllister as our graduate trainee. And with Bill and Cam coming full-time and coming on board, we'll effectively triple our workforce. So we're very much looking forward to the future and following up on all the leads that have come out of the Australian story, and great things.
Thanks, Carolyn. Might open up any questions from the people online or Carolyn.
I don't have a question, but say congratulations to you and all the team for what you've achieved. You mentioned the newsletter that you put out. I think you must do it every month, and like a newsletter again on not another month has passed. But it is extremely interesting, it's extremely informative, and very much a part of the important part of the learn, I think. The only low point we've had in the year, of course, was the passing of our founder, Tony, and that was a very low point. I think he would be thrilled with the vision he had and the legacy he's left, to see the way that he's picked up on people have done something very important to agriculture in Australia, and that he's going to be the see it roll out.
John, could you just comment a bit on the relationship with John Corporate, because he's a person who knows Colorado very well, he practices it very well, he knows your soil very well. How do you see that connection?
Yeah, as I was mentioned, that we've always had this sort of strategic relationship, I guess, between Rockenstead and the head of Rockenstead Research was in Australia last year and spent time at home as well. It's the oldest agricultural research centre in the world, and I think Tony's knowledge in Rockenstead has had a lot to do with him wanting to see Norman Creek go on forever in a similar sort of way, because he saw the value of the same, and this Rockenstead was effectively gifted for that research by a farmer, by somebody, by the 1800s. And I think the success of that is probably the reason why I wanted to do what he did with respect to NCMF. So John maintains a real interest in our work, and as I mentioned, when we're in London in June, looking towards Brexit, the UK government has started to think about some partnerships beyond the EU. and they currently signed an MOU with Canada, a research collaboration. And so, John Crawford saw an opportunity to perhaps a similar collaboration with Australia, and we've often said being the location for research, and here we're talking about using technologies, adopting more technologies in agriculture, and applying them in the northern hemisphere situation, often certainly in the southern hemisphere situation. More recently, yesterday, I had discussions with people at ANU, and with Steve Davis as our chair of the Science Advisory Council, but also other members of ANU who are part of a new centre that was established at ANU, the Centre for Entrepreneurial Agri-Technology, and some serious money's been put into that, and they're very keen to develop a relationship with us as well, and their work fits very well within some of the expertise of John Crawford around data, and so to share on that might take things forward.
I think we should also acknowledge that John was largely responsible for our association with the United Nations.
Oh, yes, yeah, thanks, Charles.
Partners.
That's right, because I'm not sure who's in the
Text.
We've got people on the phone, we've got people online, I'm not sure.
Hello, can hear you. Just mute your phone.
And somebody's on the phone, but somebody's on the phone, and there's background discussion, so thank you. Yes, as Carl said, the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network recognition, part of the Sustainable Development Goal. John was the key in that, in establishing these demonstration projects around the world. Often said being one in the UK, one being the one in Australia, there's one in Tanzania, one in China, which John Crawford's also involved in through Often said, and one in Uruguay. And that's, I think, the fact that was part of that is certainly given us a lot of profile and credibility. But, John was clear in that. Okay. Questions or comments? I'd like to ask Charles to just go through the financial report and audit report.
I just wanted to make a comment, Jen, for the sake of we've got people on the line and other people may see this from time to time. I just want to see if everybody knows what the structure of our institute is, because I think in terms of charities, it's quite unique in the sense that what Tony left by way of a legacy wasn't only just the farms that are going to be the living laboratory and the place where we can conduct our studies and research, take people and show them what we want to do. When I first got involved with Tony, it was absolutely essential for him that we build up these commercial enterprises that were there to sustain the institute in the absence of us being successful in what we're doing. Now, that doesn't by any means take away the responsibility for us to keep going. And what you'll see in a moment is that we've got large budgets and that we need to move ahead, and we need to keep people involved in the institute. We need to keep the level of general interest in the public right up. We need to keep government involved, and we need people to understand why it is that the work that we're doing is such a benefit for Australia and the dividend that future generations are going to get out of it. But one of the things that needs to be understood is that Tony also left the businesses which he created in a company called Marine Investments prior to him. And the large part of that is the farming business that Michael runs. And for those of you who don't know, that's building to be, it's already, I believe, Australia's largest genuinely free-range poultry operation. It's building to be 60,000 birds living out in the paddock, dealing with foxes, dealing with wombats, dealing with eagles, dealing with hawks, dealing with cold, dealing with bees. dealing with wind, and yet they keep running eggs every day. And we're fortunate enough to have a very good business partner in Harris Farms, and David and Kath Harris have been great supporters of Marine Creek Natural Farms. One of the reasons that Harris Farm markets are so supportive of us as a business is because they know that any one of their customers can turn up on our farms at any day, and we are genuinely organic. We do use the biodynamic principle. We are free range. The food that we produce is as close to natural as you can possibly get. And unfortunately, the industry that we've chosen in which to participate is full of a lot of people who will make claims that they do all of this, and frankly, they don't. So you need to be very careful about what is free range. You need to be very careful about what is organic. We don't just feed our birds organic food and then say, therefore, the eggs are organic. We are an organic farm. One of Tony's things was he was adamant that you don't ever compromise animal welfare, so that the birds have the best life that they can possibly have. And these are things that our business partners see as being genuinely important in the future development of the production of food in Australia. So not only do we have this objective of regenerative farming, we're out there and we're showing people that we do what we actually say that we do. And anybody, albeit that Michael's got to work within the restrictions of our biosecurity, but anybody is welcome to come onto our farms at any time because we have nothing to hide. We don't open up a shed and let birds out for an hour in the afternoon. A little known fact is that the standard presently for free range is that each bird has 1 square metre to live around it. So if you've got 10,000 birds in a shed with a concrete floor, they're free range. And that's not what our vision of free range is. The challenges that this creates for Michael are quite substantial because all of our competitors work in a controlled environment. And so they basically control every aspect of that food production through mechanical, through chemical, through artificial devices. And we're not. And so that we're not is highly valued, but Michael has taken the farming business from success to another level. We're currently in the process of going to yet another level again. It's quite a substantial increase in volume in our production for our egg expansion program. And that puts new pressures on the organisation, but it's something that we're committed to because the dividends that come out of that basically ensure the security and the longevity of the institute. But I still want to put that to one side because our job is to continue to raise public awareness, to continue to raise funds and to enable us to do on a much broader scale what we are currently doing through NCCC and to see out our objective of improving 100 landscapes over the next 10 years. And I think that if any of us back off at all, then we're not really going to do that. That's just a bit of background about why I think we're a little bit different. Now, Ray, is it possible to get this back to a funny how to do that, or just want to say it?
Ray wants to get on camera again.
Yeah. So I'd like to present our financials for the 12 months ended 30 June 2018. Of course, they're not expected to create a profit because we're not a profit organisation. We are a deductible gift recipient. We have DGR 1 status, which is the highest status that you can get as a deductible gift recipient. What these accounts won't show is because it all occurred after the 30th of June 2018. When we look at these accounts next year on our balance sheet, we will have the farms, we will have the businesses which will bring to account, so that the business of Marine Investors has a lot by way of livestock, it has a lot by way of plant equipment, and it also has a lot by way of equipment. But at this stage, we're just talking about what our organisation was, which was at 30th of June.
a group of people just going out there and doing their best to raise some money to keep our activities occurring. You will see, and it would be great if we had 3 or 4 years, but now's not the time for it. But you can see that our donations have increased by 50% over the last financial year. I can go back to when our donations were $200,000 a year, and so we're now tenfold what we were back then. And so, in my view, raising $2 million, that's a great start, but it gives everybody some concept of the scope of the organisation and how much we actually have to do each week to keep the organisation going. So, yeah, based on that, we need $50,000 every week to keep the show on the road. So, what have we done with all of that? Well, let's just, as I say, our balance sheet presently simply reflects that at that time, basically our only assets were all of the stream monitoring equipment which we've inserted in retreats, which Luke has been busily collecting the base data, which is again another difference that we do have assets and we are collecting information to be able to demonstrate that what we're doing in the retreat is making a substantial difference. So you'll be pleased to know that we're cash flow positive. From my perspective, that's not critical. What is critical is that we've still got cash in the bank, but every dollar that we collect, we shouldn't spend. That's our objective. We need to continue to identify suitable projects to spend our money. So I'll just take this down to the notes to our balance sheet. You can see there's just a breakdown of our donations. Ray, you had some data on the number of donors that we had.
That's correct. They more than doubled since last year, so there were 12 different donors, and now we've almost got to 30.
And there was an influx of donors again after Australian Story ran. So we had how many?
We had 32 different donors just in the last 2 weeks.
And
Relatively small amounts, but they all add up.
relatively small, but what those people are doing, it means that there's broader publicity about the Institute, and all of those people, there will be a lot of people who didn't donate, but those people are now aware of the Institute. And so it's our job collectively to keep the momentum going and make sure that we keep the conversation alive and that people do understand, because the better we are keeping the conversation alive, the better we're going to be at raising more funding, and therefore the better that we're going to be in making an impact on Australian landscapes. So that's the breakdown of our donations. You can see we've got about $100,000 in the bank. We need that. You'll see shortly that we've got payroll that we have to keep funding. So keeping money in the bank is really quite important. It has to have got some option items around. We've just brought in CCC to account as cost. I don't see any reason to change that at the moment, but in years to come, I think that what we're going to see is that CCC, as does the farm, will be delivering dividends into the organisation. It will become but one source of our revenue. And the plant equipment we've got at cost is basically the gasometers and the stream reading equipment that we have inserted in the creek, and the monitoring devices that we have. It's good to see that we don't have much by way of liabilities. We owe the government some money for group tax on the wages that we've paid. And that's about our balance sheet. Our P&L. Just go through all of the blah, blah, blah. Our P&L, as you've just seen, shows our donations of $2.17 million. Where we have spent that, the majority of that was spent in planting trees with the Green Army through the riparian zones and the projects that we're undertaking. We make contributions back to universities to enable them to fund ongoing research, and we have got payroll because we have 4 full-time employees. And I have to say, we very bad value employees on the face of the earth, because
The amount of time that they get paid for and the amount of work that they do for the institute is significant. And that brings to an end the explanation of the financial statements. They are audited. I'm happy to provide a copy to anybody who would like them. Are there any questions about that?
Questions on finance?
And it's not a question, but I'd like to make a comment. I bought some eggs recently and I found that little insert. That's a great idea. In line with what you were just saying in terms of making a public aware, because a lot of people want to do good things, and when you buy the eggs you love anyway, and you realise it's now going to something like an institute, that just gives you a really good feeling and a reason to tell other people, yeah, they should buy these eggs. Because that was a brilliant initiative over there, but responsibility.
Charles, you can take it from.
Only the good things. The bad things, that's right.
Jim, that was Jim's idea, actually. It was originally Jim Goodford's idea, and for people who are online or seen the, after Tony's passing, we thought it was a good idea to reinforce to the customers who buy the eggs that, that the things are going to continue the same as they always did, but particularly reinforce that the profits from the sale of eggs is supporting usages. And Jerry Carroll's here, who's one of the landholders in the Malin Community Landscape Rehydration Project. Malin Farm. It's Malin North, isn't it? Yeah, Malin Farm is what Jerry wants for, but we finished works on his this year. So that's really good feedback. We thought we'd do those inserts, which we spent a bit of time finalising what they should look like and what should be said on them. But we're only going to run those for a few weeks just to reinforce it. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
And Harris Farm Market's on board with all that.
Yeah.
Would they take it further and actually put a little poster up above?
Well,
Not that you need to, because
we're working on that ourselves. Now that we've got a marketing person who's working closely with Harris Farms, going to we're in the process of the moment display ads, for want of a better word, to go with the eggs in the stores here.
I think that's a big thing for them to be doing, is it's certainly putting those eggs ahead of, well, promoting them.
Well, it was
a different way to the others.
I'm sure it was no accident that Harris Farms most recently have done a bit of work in promoting the quality of what they produce, and when it came to eggs, everything about their online stuff is all the visual stuff. We saw Michael Fitzgerald there with the chooks. It was, even though they sell half a dozen different types of eggs, in some stores, their online presence around eggs in Harris Farms is all in their natural farms. But even though the egg boxes have always had a narrative on the inside of the box, probably people who buy them regularly probably have stopped reading that a long time ago, and that's why we thought use the insert as a prop.
We've got to be very respectful for the situation in Harris Farm because they've got other suppliers, but their support for us is phenomenal. And there are things going on in the background where they're going to do even more for us.
They're pushing the boundaries probably a little bit with their other suppliers.
Well, let's just leave it. They really do give us good support. I was just going to try and see if I couldn't find the actual their promotion, but to give everybody an idea of what's happening, they've got a very strong commitment to naturally produced foods, and it's difficult to make a difference in lettuce and bananas, but in things like eggs, they see that as a category. Eggs and meat they see as categories where they can be heavily involved in selling and marketing really high quality food, and we are the lead banner in the egg category.
To differentiate themselves from safety.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's just see what I can find. Still. Yeah. Cage free. This is what under the cage free. Banner that they were.
Let's move on. But, needless to say, they're a fantastic supporter of us and the product, and we value their support. And I think that they're going to take us a lot further than where we've been. We just need to be able to meet their production, which, in a natural sense, is a lot harder than what we have actually.
I had one other thing that I noted as well. I saw that there was, it's written up as donations in kind, which is by far the majority of donations, like from cost, etc. But do you actually have the expense associated with that donation in kind in the thing as well?
A lot of
how you can afford it all.
No, a lot of them offset.
Yeah.
And where, so for example, we're in there as an expense, but it's an expense which is not funded. And that's recognised as in-kind. It is very important to recognise those in-kind contributions, because when you go along and you're visiting government authorities or other funding organisations, they like to know the extent of the contribution that's being made to the organisation. So we try to capture as much of that.
It just adds further credibility and gives size to the
Well, the biggest incline was always Green Army in that last year. And so we had 2 Green Army teams on site for 6 months, 3 lots of 6 months, I think it was, wasn't it? Included, because it's a substantial contribution, lots of 6 months, I think it was, wasn't it? Included, because it's a substantial contribution to the work that you're doing. Through the Green Army, we've been able to do a lot of the vegetation, and it's needed as part of the marine landscape irrigation project, which we would normally have to find the dollars to actually do. So it's
so you put that in, I think it was one of the $8 you put that in the revenue up there and expense, and so just a direct offset. Yeah.
Charles, can I just ask, are the eggs being building yet?
No, with respect to Harris Farm, we went and saw them when we said we're rolling out the expansion program, and that we had contacts in Melbourne, and they said, no, we really, in strongest terms, request if you don't do that, we think we'll be able to serve up all of your demand, and because we have got such a strong relationship, I don't take all of our supply, and because we've got such a strong relationship, we're on with that. And if we get to the point where we've got surplus eggs, then we'll consider that. But at this stage, Harris Farm have said, no, we want to do a strategic partner, we want to be involved in the farm. We've got some other things that we are contemplating rolling out in addition to our eggs, and they've said, no, we are your strategic partner, we would like to remain exclusive.
Okay, still being made.
No.
And friends who want it.
This is on Harris Farm, seeing that they categorised in the involvement with the going to Melbourne. On checkout, would you then consider encouraging Harris Farm that they promote the Marine Institute through their stores? And then on checkout, as you often do in stores, so would you agree to a $1 donation to Marine Food? So everyone who checks out is a $1 donation to the welfare of the food that promotes Harris Farm as well as Marine Food. But it goes to Marine Food, to the Institute.
Yeah, we're planning to meet with them in December, and I'll raise that carefully.
some stores do, if you spend
Yeah.
$9.99, you actually spend $10, and the cent goes into a thing that they do donate to charity or something like that.
Well, and often they say it's $1, you know, you have $1 for the.
We need to be really careful about everything that we approach with, because we're not their only supplier. And the support that we give is coming. And it's not only in what they're doing in terms of shelf space, they're basically doing the rest of it. They're in the background giving us good suggestions about ways to improve our marketing over time. And that's their expertise, that's not our expertise. And so we take that on board really well. But it's
All right, thanks everybody. So we have some other business to deal with. And the first is that it seems that I need to be re-elected as a director. Well, I can't do that. So I might ask Charles to.
Before I do, Gary, I think it's another one of those things that goes unsaid. We're really lucky that Gary is our chairman for a couple of reasons. One is that he's a former business and so he understands the commerciality of it. Secondly, the contacts that he's got through the federal government and the arrangement with the Prime Minister and his entourage was all through Gary's actions. It's something that we had a few setbacks with that. But
Quite a change in Prime Minister.
but I think that the meeting needs to understand that Gary does good tirelessly. I mean, he is as committed as anybody else that I've ever seen to an organisation. And I think, Gary, you're sitting here because of the belief in this organisation. The friendship with Tony is something which is absolutely for you from the very outset, had a very strong desire to progress the belief that this is the right thing to do. If you agree and the commitment that you bring, very much appreciated by the fellow board members. So that said, I'd like to nominate Gary. Those in favour? Aye.
Thank you, Luke. Okay, and the second one is to put forward for Diana Kavanagh to be elected as a director. Diana became a director during the year following the passing of Tony, but having been brought on as a director during the year, it's required under the Constitution to be confirmed at the AGM. So I'd like to move that Diana be elected as a director. A seconder? Richard? All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. So moved. So confirmed. Thank you, Diana.
I am the media space.
Yes, well, she did a great job. The financials table, yeah, so Charles did that. So, any other business for the AGM? Anything else that anybody would like to raise?
I'll just make this point, Gary, where our structure is we're a company limited by guarantee, and we appreciate everybody's involvement. If anybody is not involved in a formal sense, would like to be, anybody simply has any contributions, and they don't know how they can make those contributions, by all means feel free to contact any one of us. If you come across in your travels somebody who's got a need for a serious landscape repair, then Carolyn's contact details are on our website, and keep following our work.
Can I just ask a question? On the regeneration of farmland in areas around Sydney that have been subdivided, thousands of homes, and and often we do that happening with the run like the hard surfaces and that's then filters through the land and deteriorates further lands that are being market gardens. There's no place for the institute to consider that.
Absolutely. In fact, only earlier this week, contacted by someone involved in a large development in the ACT South Wales border, 11,000 house blocks on the news, and with a lot of there's two, there's a major creek and the Barnaby River involved, and they're keen to partner with us in some way that now we can look in with ensuring the conservation and biodiversity of what remains conservation land and how that interacts with the area development. And so we do see very much when I'm talking about this at our board meeting earlier today. We see very much the role. It's Tony Pitt used to always talk about it's far better to look at planning design work around those developments, especially soft green infrastructure to deal with stormwater runoff rather than the hard concrete solutions which you generally see. So we see that as clearly an opportunity. Yeah, we met, Tony and I met with Sydney Water last year to talk to them about how they could probably save themselves a lot of money in the trip by putting in place some of these sorts of solutions. I should, before we finish, I should tell everybody that next, in a 2 week or 2's time, I can't remember the dates now, I'll be attending the Australian Organic Limited, which is an accrediting body for organics awards night in Canberra, where we're going to be receiving recognition and an award, which came out of the blue. And also at the end of the month, I'll be in Melbourne for the Banksia Sustainability Awards. They're finalists in the not-for-profit sector. And so we've been sort of recognised in a variety of different ways, and that's after winning an AGM award last year. We said those AGM awards for working with them. So it's helping to raise the profile a bit further. Right, if there's no other business, I'll declare the meeting closed. In closing, can I thank those that are on the phone? I know Luke is there may be others, and you don't know how many people are linked in via the videos, but hopefully there's a few of those, and we thank you for interest and participation in this year's AGM. We're not only trying to bring technologies onto in the agriculture sense, but also using the technology available to take our AGM beyond the boardroom. Thank you all. And please join us for those people online. We haven't quite got virtual lunch for you as yet, but thank you.